a matter of faith, it's a matter of hard work, pushing and working together, not only with the authorities but the international community. We have an indication from the authorities that as soon, rather immediately, when security conditions permit, removal from Site 2 will happen. Additional indications are that this is expected to be soon. Equally so, however, I have been in contact not only with the authorities in Damascus, of course, we've also spoken to a number of member states with influence over parties and to the conflict in Syria, which are also active in that area. So we call on all member states to exercise their influence to ensure the immediate removal of the remaining chemicals. What is important also to remember is that isopropanol, a very critical precursor to the production of sarin, has been destroyed 100%. However, the urgency, the time, the pressure to remove the remaining 7.2% is very, very critical, and I'll be back in Damascus the next few days to pursue that conversation with my team and counterparts. It's not a matter of an extension, it's a matter of a transition and reconfiguration. The presence of the joint mission is tied integrally to the completion of the elimination of Syria's chemical weapons program. What we have suggested is that the nature of the work of the mission is changing. Obviously, I'll give you an example. There was a lot of removal work that was happening, of course, so we have a profile of staff within the mission. We are reducing our footprint in Damascus because of security conditions, but also we need different types of people. The frequency of presence is changing as well. We're looking in future at residual activities. As I mentioned, support to OPCW, but the authorities in the destruction of hangars and tunnels. We're looking at ongoing work and a discussion on the declaration to render it fully complete, to address some of the deficiencies that have been identified in collaboration with the authorities. That is the mainstay of still of the work that lies ahead. So we expect to be there for a little while longer, but obviously the Executive Council of OPCW as well as the Security Council ultimately will determine if and when the mission is considered to be complete.
Legitimate security concerns, or is this just a case of serious stalling?
A number of key member states have confirmed these concerns to be legitimate, their words. We have separate information that the security conditions have been very volatile and it's been very difficult to move the transport safely and securely along the given route that is needed. There are not many road options in Syria if you've ever had the opportunity to visit. The primary routes that are needed to safely have convoys pass and be also protected in the appropriate way, they're not many. Hence the security considerations have been assessed as reasonable. However, it doesn't mean that additional delays can be incurred. There's not only the issue of the deadline of 30th of June, there's equally so the tremendous cost on the maritime partners, and the operation should have long been completed in this regard. So the continued ask is, of course, swift removal immediately.
You give us an update on where things stand with the OPCW UN investigation into the chlorine gas attacks, and also can you address Western intelligence claims that Syria actually in the first place didn't declare everything, that there's a lot of chemical weapons arsenal information and stockpile that isn't going to be removed even if you get this 7% out?
Well, I think your second question I've already responded to on the basis of the work that we are doing together with the authorities on the declaration. It is quite common for state parties to submit an initial declaration that needs to be revised when working together with the Technical Secretariat of OPCW. We're doing that currently. Your first question, sorry, what was that again? Chlorine gas. The fact-finding mission, yes, on the allegations of use of chlorine gas, will give a formal report. I am not leading on that mission. We are firewalled from that. So the fact-finding mission will provide an update to the OPCW Executive Council on the 17th of June. And the OPCW is the appropriate channel to ask.
What about the 12 facilities
I just want to make sure I heard you properly. You're saying it's still possible to meet the June 30th deadline? It was very loud.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. You're saying it's definitely not likely at this stage.
In this case, no. If you work your way back for the removal process aboard the U.S. ship, it takes approximately 60 days. So if you work your way back from the 30th of June, all the materials should have left Syria much sooner. Hence, that was always a concern of the Council and our concern. The Secretary General also noted in his letter, as you know, at the end of May, that it's not likely the deadline will be met. The deadline will not be met. What is important, however, that all the materials are out of harm's way and that destruction can start as soon as possible aboard the US ship, as considerable time has lapsed and considerable cost and time and investments have been made to get the job done. Equally so, I'd like to underline that significant progress has been attained over an impossible period of time, 9 months. Almost all of Syria's declared chemical weapons program, mixing and filling, the equipment, the mobile labs, the production facilities, storage sites, as well as the removal of chemical weapons material, all that is no more. Although it is still the chemical weapons material aboard the Norwegian and Danish ship, it is out of harm's way. I think that's also very important to remember.
Ms. Kaag, Madam Kaag, sorry. My question is regarding the recent revelations that the authorities have intercepted some communications between opposition groups, armed opposition groups, speaking about using chemical weapons and arranging masks for that. Have they shared this information with you, and what are you going to do if that's the case?
We have received this information, as has the Secretary General. Naturally, we take note of this. However, it is not currently within our mandate. We are an implementation mission, and the mandate of the mission is very clear.
What about violations in Texas by the
Could you kindly tell us if that last 7% is extremely crucial, because often the most difficult is left for last?
That was initially indeed the most difficult, was left for last because it was always a contested area. Hence the Syrian authorities in their plan for the removal had left the materials at a number of sites in that geographical location for the latter half, knowing it would need additional security assets and possibly military operations. So it's not the materials themselves, they are standard. They've also been removed from Homs area and other areas. It was the location. And that has always been a concern. It's been indicated to the Syrians that if you leave it for last, there is a higher risk. However, we are dealing with the reality on the ground as of today, and we keep working with the authorities to ensure that removal takes place as soon as possible.
As the June 30th deadline won't be met, and amid increasing number of allegations that Syria hasn't declared entire or to full extent its chemical weapons stockpile, how do you see that the Syrian government is in compliance with the resolution that created the mission that you're heading?
Compliance is a matter for the Executive Council and the Security Council to determine, and that obviously has a number of benchmarks. As I mentioned before, we're working with the authorities on the completeness and any issues or queries that may arise as a result of its initial declaration. Thank you.